In Japan today, over 10 million people belong to what is called the underclass. They are those trapped as non-regular workers, unable to escape from poverty. But the real problem Toshio Okada points to is not a gap in money. The recognition gap, the divide between those who feel needed by society and those who don't, is a far more serious fracture. Even more shocking is the fact that this gap is becoming fixed through genetics. Intelligence, motivation, social success, is everything decided before we are even born? Even if basic income eliminates income inequality, the recognition gap will only deepen further. And what spreads among citizens on the side without recognition is conspiracy theories and social division. Listen now to Toshio Okada's truth about inequality.
Could you please introduce me on your channel? I'm also 65 years old. I feel this is my last chance to leave a record of Akira's production, so I'm going to do my best. This person was the production coordinator for the theatrical film Akira, so if you're interested, please go check it out. After this, for the broadcast starting next week and the week after, the next Sunday is the last Sunday of the month. So there will be a break. The Sunday letter and chat broadcast will be upgraded. And Thursday will feature the Lego telephone booth session as a short seminar. Saturday the 25th will be a rebroadcast of the SF manga reading from 2017, which is 8 years old now. We'll be rebroadcasting that. Next Sunday is a day off. The 28th will be a rebroadcast of the Psychopath Life Counseling from 3 years ago, an upgraded broadcast. That week's short seminar will be about puppets, the kind you put on your hand and make it go open and close. And I'll be talking about the joy of that. February 1st, when we enter February, on Friday Roadshow, they'll be airing Back to the Future 1, 2, and 3 every week consecutively. So I'm thinking of holding a Back to the Future session at a limited venue. February 2nd, the following week will be life counseling, so please look forward to it. Today's topic is going to get quite long, I think. It's a rather tedious subject, so if you get tired, feel free to take a bathroom break or rest a bit and watch some other short videos. That's perfectly fine. Okada's seminar isn't going anywhere, so it's okay to watch it later. Alright, shall we get started? Let's go. Today we'll be talking about the recognition gap. Starting from what the recognition gap actually is. Here's how it looks. For those watching the free content, we'll cover up to around the intelligence gap section, starting with an introduction to the manga, fact, then the book, poverty in the brain, and the idea that the recognition gap is becoming more of a problem than the intelligence gap. For premium members, I'll discuss a Japanese film involving the Truman Show and the Matrix, while introducing a book called Ghost Work. With the heroes of Fist of the North Star serving as our anchor, everything below is premium content. In the premium section, starting from a certain author's dilemma, we'll discuss the information food chain. I received an interesting email from Italy recently about how the definition of cosmetic surgery has changed and its relationship to fashion and the recognition gap. The infantilization of society becomes a political book, and finally we'll reach a conclusion. It's all one interconnected story, which makes it complicated. I'll try to make it as enjoyable as possible, but it won't be too light and cheerful. I genuinely find it fascinating, but for the viewers watching, there'll probably be a lot of wait, really, moments. Sorry, please bear with me. Anyway, there's a manga called Fact, and the author who drew it, I think their name is Endo, is really into hamachi fish. And apparently they broke down the character for hamachi and used it as Endo and fish in their pen name. A review of this manga was posted by Minawa, an editor at Gentosha. In a tweet, or should I say post, it was incredibly interesting. It perfectly captured the era when conspiracy theories move the world. The modern age is the era of recognition gaps over income gaps. The gap between those who feel needed by the world and those who don't. This will become even more serious. Even if basic income is introduced and income gaps are somewhat narrowed, conspiracy theories are what gets spread to citizens on the side without recognition. And the more the establishment and intellectuals mock and deny it, the more crime increases. Trump verification and evaluation detection awareness. It's described as a dangerous manga that unravels the conspiracy theories born from today's divisions and inequality. What I want to focus on here is the phrase recognition gap over income gap. I'd like to trace which parts of this manga shed light on this. First, the protagonist Watanabe. This is from my report from America. I talked about going to Simpsons Land, and I also uploaded it on YouTube. I went to a place called Simpsons Land. There's actually a bar that appears in the Simpsons anime, Moe's Tavern, the place everyone talks about, and I was genuinely moved to see it faithfully recreated. Well, a lot of us who went there were toy buyers. And since we all knew The Simpsons, we all said, oh, it's Moe's Tavern, and we're saying we were moved. But what true emotion feels like? That's something very different, I realized later. So, the day after visiting Universal Studios, we moved to Las Vegas. When moving to Las Vegas, making Mumi-san do a 4 or 5 hour drive all at once has its limits. So we took breaks every 45 minutes or so. While taking breaks, we came across a town called Calico. Calico is a ghost town that was abandoned in 1907. You can search for it. Try searching for Calico Ghost Town. Silver was found there. California was originally developed during the gold rush. They said there was gold there. But it turned out silver was found. It became a silver mining town. And by 1907, no one lived there anymore, and it became a ghost town. It was left untouched for about 70 years after that, until around the end of the 20th century when there was a redevelopment. They decided to properly preserve it and turn it into a tourist attraction. So now it charges an entrance fee and is a tourist destination. We went there. The buildings from that era are left exactly as they were. Everything in the ghost town was left right where it was since people fled. So remnants of all kinds, from the settling ponds to other things, are still there. There was a cafe there, and when you go to America, your throat gets incredibly dry. And Coke tastes amazing, and beer even more so. Except for Mumi-san. Everyone there, neither Mumi-san nor I drive, but everyone else, was drinking Bud Light, the beer that broke Americans all drink, guzzling it down and getting quite cheerful. So then, we went to a cafe. At the cafe, in the style of American life back then, there were mountains of peanuts and shells piled on the tables. In this American-style saloon era, you'd throw the peanut shells on the floor. So you'd eat the peanuts and toss the shells on the floor, and sure enough, they were doing the same there. So walking on the floor, everyone's crunching on peanut shells, going crunch, crunch, crunch. Oh, this is so atmospheric. So atmospheric, we were saying, while going to their photo studio, and checking out the lifting equipment, going, oh great, great, like that, enjoying our break time, going up higher and higher. It's a mining mountain after all. Gradually going up, the life of that era remains there. So this is how they bathed back then. This is the kind of bar they drank at. This is what they ate. It was like a museum. And at the very top, you could see the actual houses where people of that era lived. Well, houses, wooden houses were only in the lower town of Calico, where the wealthy lived. Going higher up, it's a true mining town. So everyone could dig caves in the rock. So the people who lived there, the ones living up there, didn't bother building wooden houses. Instead, they dug holes in the rock and put doors on them to live in. Many of them were doing this kind of pit-dwelling thing. Going higher and higher, you could see these kinds of houses. There were doors, and you could peek inside. I was hot and tired and thought, whatever. But then Mumi-san was peering inside. Oh, maybe it's interesting, I thought, and Mumi-sen then turned around after looking inside and just sat down. Mumi-san, are you alright? Is it interesting? I asked. And I'll never forget the look on Mumi-san's face at that moment. It wasn't exactly that their face had gone pale, but they had this expression like they couldn't believe what they'd seen. What happened? I just can't say anything, they told me. So I looked inside myself. The moment I looked in, I was truly at a loss for words. Inside was just a regular home. A door forcibly attached to a warped foundation. And there was only a window about the size of a pane of glass, a room carved out of rock. Inside there was a bed, a chair, signs of daily life. But the moment I saw it, I thought, what is it, a ghost town? Well, the person living there in the silver mine probably could never escape from there their whole life. Born and raised there, the landscape never changing, working day after day, just barely enough to live there. Really, in terms of building size. It was a single room of about 2 tatami mats, a 2-mat room. Seeing that, my heart just became completely empty. And truly, when you're genuinely moved, you don't cry. I was moved, I cried. That's different, I think. Real emotion doesn't work like that. What's mainly discussed in this is intelligence. Specifically, whether intelligence is inherited, and what intelligence even is. What's the professor's current thinking on this? What is intelligence? Fundamentally, it's the output produced by all the information processing the brain generates. But in general psychology, it's said to be what's measured by intelligence tests. There's something rather heartbreaking written. Intelligence is measured by intelligence tests, and the number that comes out is intelligence. That's actually the most stoic answer you can give. It's stoic. Intelligence and intellect are things that, as human survival tools, can be interpreted broadly in countless ways, and those who discuss such things are certainly numerous. Among all of that, to say it's what intelligence tests measure, that thin paper test, is extremely limiting, and there are probably many people who want to say, surely it's not just that. And that's absolutely correct. That's correct, and it can be broadly interpreted in countless ways. But here, as a psychologist being responsible, what I'm responsible for is what intelligence tests measure. There are intelligence researchers who don't limit it that way, but in what we're discussing here, it's strictly what intelligence tests measure. That intelligence tests have the longest history among intelligence research tools. And from all those things, academic performance, social outcomes, personality, and other areas, it's also quite clear where the limits lie. That part is fairly well established. In other words, when we think about what it means to be smart, let's try turning various brain abilities into quiz questions, like being able to grasp numbers instantly, or being able to grasp spatial figures. Defining the score on these quizzes as intelligence tentatively. What developed from that is the intelligence test, numerically expressed as a one-dimensional score, the IQ, with 100 as the center value. If you score a certain percentage below that, it's 90. If you're a certain percentage above, it's 110. Artificially distributed to follow a normal distribution, that's IQ. To be a bit more specific, this itself is an abstract description. It's about knowing 10 from 1, knowing 10 from 5, the ability to reason about various things, and of course, it's not just about having knowledge, but combining it skillfully to solve problems. It's like what people mean by raw intelligence. Whether that raw intelligence is strong or not, and then the crystallized experience, how much you can use experience. Even at 60, there are people who are still muddled. And at 40, some people master the use of experience, so you can't simply tie it to age. There's something called fluid intelligence, measured as speed of thinking, said to be determined quite a bit by age. But that's not what's called peak performance. Those are, what do you call it, in shogi or mathematics, I think, it peaks around age 17 or 18 or 19. That type of intelligence peaks then. But even if that declines, social intelligence and knowledge in various domains keeps growing through experience. Said to keep growing right up until just before death. Though how much it's used also differs depending on one's baseline intelligence. What's called IQ, or intelligence, basically what people mean by being smart. Is this also genetic? Everything is genetic. Let's start from there. They keep only talking about intelligence. And Tachibana Akira also keeps going on about intelligence. It's his book's specialty. Going back to what was said earlier, intelligence, conscientiousness, laziness, intelligence, all genetic. Thinking only intelligence is affected by environment or effort is the same kind of religious thinking as believing laziness or conscientiousness can be overcome by environment or effort. Well, right, it's a story everyone wants to believe. But I can't do that. That's what it says. Whether you can or can't, well, it depends on the degree. But I'd say it's quite genetic. Given what was just said, that's how it ends up. In other words, conscientiousness may not be as genetic, laziness. It's unclear how genetic it is. But it's probably fairly genetic, I'd say. At that point, Yamaji-san was grinning from ear to ear. Some people felt safe, and some felt the opposite. Both exist, don't they? I felt desperate. So, if things are determined by genetics, then just like I'm fat due to genetics, you have no choice but to put in an unreasonable amount of effort. If I put in unreasonable effort, even I could get down to the 60 kilograms range. That's what drives me.